What is going on, guys, and welcome to the Sunday Night Live. This should be a fun live stream. Kind of a lot to talk about, especially with this week going on. Briefly, before we get really started, let's get people in. Make sure you're hitting the thumbs up button. I appreciate you guys for doing so. As of right now, looks like the market wants to bounce for this week, so we'll see. I mean, everything looks solid. I mean, small cap index up nearly 2%. Tech's going to be up 1%. Dow, S&P looking solid, up over, over 0.5%. This is just the futures. This can change. It's going to be, overnight. Who knows what's going to happen? We can wake up and everything can be down. So that's just that. But it looks like we're going to see a bounce. I think so. It seems like, okay, the stimulus news, we'll see. I mean, people are thinking, okay, sell the news. It's priced in. I think the stimulus news was kind of priced in now that it passed in the House. Still got to pass in the Senate, I believe. And I don't exactly know the timeline on that stuff right now, but it's coming. So in terms of getting the checks, that's not going to be for a couple more weques unless, there's some holdups when it gets passed. And it could be longer, who knows? So we'll see. But it looks like we're going to see a bounce this week, so it should be nice. I'll talk about a bunch of things. Quickly, let's see. SPACs. Is a SPAC trend. Here's the thing with the SPACs. They haven't been super. They've kind of been iffy, but we're seeing as like a cool off period on the SPACs, where I think the solid companies are reigning supreme in a sense. So, don't even get me started on SOS, man. I don't even want to start with this one. Made a video on the second channel yesterday or last night. Posted this morning. I had to make a second video to clarify the SOS. There's like major drama going on with the SOS situation. The Hindenburg short report, don't need to really get into it too much, but people are very, very touchy, when it comes to their SOS. I'm sorry for pointing out any bear case to this at all, but okay. I hope it squeezes. I hope it goes to 20 plus. I really do. That's all. That's all I'm going to say for right now. How was CLLI or CLII? Was this okay? This thing is coming back down. I mean, I don't like the SPAC plays when you're obviously when you're buying the spikes. So let it kind of settle down. I mean, it took some hits with the overall market this past week, and so we'll see what happens. It looks like it's coming down to a more favorable area. I don't know enough person about this one, to say I love it, but. There's a bunch of SPACs on my list that I want to dive deeper into. One to actually point out is IPOE, another Chamath SPAC. This is the merger with SoFi. This one I like a little bit right here. If we just take a peek, IPOE, it's around this $18 support. I kind of like IPOE for a longer term play. SoFi is legit. I know they're my top place in terms of potential student loan refinance option. So we'll see what happens with that. But so I know enough about people who've used it, and I know people who like it, who like SoFi in terms of they have a lot more than just refinancing like student loans. There's a lot more there too. You can even buy and sell stocks. They have a whole trading kind of side too. So we'll see. Let's see. NAK. Why did it gap on? It may have. I think it had news, if I recall. I believe it had news. NAK. It popped on news. If we take a peek, let's take a look at this guy right here. NAK on Friday. If we look to the PRs, or did we have? Okay, on Thursday. Let's see when this came out. Thursday. Oh yeah, here's why. Thursday at 9 p.m. Here's this PR that comes out. U.S. Army Corps Engineers accepts Pebble partnership request for appeal. So they're appealing. And they got this accepted request. That's why it gapped up on Friday. So that was one of the underlying things going on behind the scenes with NAK. So that's that. Drop shipping. Funny story. I did drop ship. I had a fishing store, years ago over the summer. It's cool. It was like a really hot thing. Now it's a lot more serious. So the competition is massive on that side of things. If you have the funds to kind of get into paid ads, yeah, it's really good. It got a lot harder. I was kind of barely profitable / break even for a while on my store, and then eventually I kind of just it got into the winter months and fishing wasn't as popular, and then it kind of petered out, and so I moved on and then moved on from there. But I did it. It was fun. It was just I just was spending thousands of dollars in ads, and then I was at the same time. The profit margins were super, super thin, and I just couldn't get it to the point where they were big enough for me to continue. So that aside, okay, AIKI is a stock I'm still in. I mean, I probably shouldn't be, to be completely honest, but I'm giving it down to $1. I just didn't want to sell this one. This is an example of a stock, right, that was holding this 150 support. Meanwhile, the next day, it's Tuesday morning, we open up, it's at 106. So I'm like, the stock is down like 25+% in one day. I just can't sell a stock that bad. Like, it's going to bounce. And it did. So if I wanted to sell it, yeah, I could have sold it back up over like 140 the next day if I had really heavily averaged down. I'm going to keep it. I'm going to keep it, and I'm actually going to probably scalp this one for a couple cent up and down, you know, we saw what happened on Friday. I scalped it for 2 cents. Okay, who cares? 2 cents. But you know what? The money is, it's the scalp is there every day on a lot of stocks. So if it's there, I'll take my little scalp on top of holding a little swing position. So the stock pops down here to like 118. I bought it at 119, immediately set my sell order at 121. Boom, made my couple cents and moved on. That was kind of the, you know, that was the name of it. That was the play on SOS. I mean, not SOS, AIK. SOS is on my mind, man. AIKI. Other than that, though, psychedelics is kind of like, this is the play. It's like a psychedelic play here. So I like it. I want to see it hold one under one. That'll probably be my, okay, it's time to move on for AIKI. And just because, you know, I set a stock, I'm holding it to 150 and I'm now holding it below, I don't recommend people follow that. I really recommend you stick towards those stops. I just gave some stocks some more leeway because the market was down so big, and a lot of stocks took hits. So when that happens, you know, I use that to trim out of some other positions, but now I think I can, you know, feel fine or feel comfortable with some of these positions that I do kind of like, and that's kind of, I give it a little more leeway, a little bit of a longer and looser leash in a sense, you know. PLTR is I like. I think this one is going to be, we're in a buy range in my opinion right here. I would not want to see it going below like $21 or so, ideally, but you know, it could. This is a long-term play in my eyes. I have it in my IRA and I have it in my long-term swing. I don't have enough. I do not have enough in the long-term swing, and I don't have enough in the IRA in terms of like what I want. So I would love for it to stay down here. I would love for it to dip. I'm going to be giving this one, you know, quite some time. And so that's the intention between for PLTR. This one with ARK Invest buying more PLTR, that's something to watch too. With ARK Invest, right? Everyone loves ARK. And so whatever they do, everyone's watching. There's people that just make videos just strictly on that. And so it's out there, right? That stuff is, you know, so it popped up a little bit in the after hours. The market's going to be gapping up for those who are tuning in just now. Futures are looking very, very nice. Nice fat green futures right here. So we'll see what happens with ARK Invest, and we'll see what happens with PLTR. The more they keep buying PLTR, right, the more the people are going to start feeling that bullish sentiment, and the more that on green days, PLTR is going to probably pop. Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see, too, what happens with AMC GME this week. Let's take a look. GME closed up at around 100, so we'll see how this one plays out. Interesting. It's going to be, you know, it's going to be fun to watch on this coming week. $100 that holds roughly. We could see another push to the upside. J&J vaccine news. Got it. Yeah, J&J was a stock that I played. I played calls on J&J. Let's take a peek at this guy. I played calls back in here, and I'm actually kind of crazy. Somehow, in a sense, I sold it. I sold my calls this day when it hit like 173 because they were like 167 calls, and I had them from when it was like below 155 or something like that. And it pushed up, hit that 173. I sold them, but I liked J&J as a potential, you know, a longer term play too. Pulling back Friday pretty hard, but there's the news, right? So I'm pumped. If I, you know, when it comes time for whatever, like my age group to get the vaccine, I want the Johnson & Johnson. I want a one and done. I don't want to have to go back twice. Like, no, I want to go one and done. That's it. So I like their vaccine. You know, at least I mean, I don't know. I have no idea, like, honestly, what's in these things. But if I had to get the vaccine, that's the one that I want, at least. SNDL is kind of consolidating around that mid 130s again, that 135. So it's kind of holding that to be support. So SNDL has some areas. So 135 or so, roughly. If it can't hold that, then I would like to see 110. And then under that $1. The issue with SNDL, though, is that they have a $1 billion shelf offering just, like, ready to go. So that's my only kind of concern with SNDL. So we'll see. Overall market, yeah, let's take a peek at SPY really quick. So now everyone, make sure you're hitting the thumbs up button. I really appreciate you guys for doing that. The overall market thoughts is we're at the 50 SMA, and last time we hit this level, we bounced. So we'll see if that happens again. It looks like we're going to as of futures right now, if futures hold up to be what they're, where they are right now into tomorrow. So we'll see. I like it. But again, looking at the overall market and everyone freaking out about, oh my gosh, we're dropping so hard, crash. Just what I like to do is take a step back. And yeah, we saw a lot of stocks that were mega inflated over the past couple of months. They took some massive hits, much larger than how the overall market sold off. But if you look at SPY and you look at taking a step back, this dip is common. This is needed. And it's actually not nearly as bad as what we saw in September, right? We saw a much bigger drawdown in September compared to what we're seeing right now. So here's our top line resistance on SPY, but that's still an uptrending resistance. I would expect us to test that level again. I don't want us to just go straight up and hit it. I would love to see SPY just kind of like, pushing up and down, push and pull, overall putting in higher lows over time. That's it. That's what I would like to see. I would like to see kind of just a push up, nice and slow, hit 400 eventually, and then maybe, 410, 420, who knows? We'll see what happens this year. I know a lot of people who suspect and who have projections, and that's really all it is. 450 this year, and then the crash or something like that. I would say seasonality kind of plays a role, and we generally see a stronger season into like the spring months, and then we see kind of a weaker season into the end of the summer months. So maybe that has something to do with it. Maybe we see some more drawdowns in like July, August, September period. Sometime in there, we see the next kind of bigger correction or bigger pullback. But another thing to watch is going to be the 10-year. So 10-year bonds, let's see how this goes. If we take a peek at the past couple of days in the 10-year, if the 10-year gets back above this 150, $1.50, well, that's where people start to it seems like that's where we saw the most kind of uncertainty, and then it may make some sense to go get your return here rather than put your money in the overall market. That's kind of like the thought process. But if we take a peek back at the 10-year over the past 5 years, this thing has been super, super low for so long, and it's recovering very, very fast. So it's been pushing up quite a bit, and that's the concern everyone's got, right? It's pushing up very, very fast, very quick, right? So we'll see. If it can break back up this 150 and get up towards 2, that's going to get very interesting to see how the overall market responds to that. So we'll see. But that's something I'm watching this week. It has been affecting the overall market to a degree. Whether I think it's a super huge deal or not doesn't really matter. It seems like the market's taking that, fairly strongly. So that's one thing to watch. Let's see. I still like the oil plays. So for those who are interested, USO crude futures are popping this evening, I believe, as well. So those look solid for tomorrow. So we'll see what happens. Let's see. USO has been pushing up. Yeah, it pulled back on Friday, but it's a healthy pullback in my eyes here. So we'll see what happens until we start seeing more candles to the downside. I still like my oil stocks on that one. So for those who don't know, the ones I like are HUSA, pulled back to the 50 SMA. USEG is also one that's sitting at the 50 SMA. Recently had an offering at 5, so it's trading below the offering price for whatever that means for those who are paying attention to that. PED is one as well at the 50 SMA. And then CEI, there's so many oil plays that like to run. CEI had that push up, had news, pulling back very, very hard. You're trying to catch a falling knife here to a degree, but 50 SMA support at like 135. So you got some solid support right under these stocks where they're sitting at right now. So I do think these are much better entry points. And I've been holding some of my oil plays for quite some time. So when we get the oil run, and if we get it, who knows? We used to get those things. It was crazy back in the day. If you go back to if you zoom out on some of these charts and go back to June, this June period right here, like early June, like the 5th into like the 8th, when like CEI went from 130 something to 260, right? Like doubles. All these oil stocks doubled like in 2 days. That was like my biggest day back then, right, on the account. So yeah, because I had a bunch of oil plays and they all went up like 100%, and I didn't even know like that was possible. I thought this is insane. I sold way too early, and I still made I had a massive day relative to the account. Let's see. Appreciate the donation. Thoughts on GNOG? This is one that's been kind of a pain in my side for quite some time because it's been pulling back. However, it's in a much more favorable area. I like it under 15 is a beautiful spot, I think. This is also kind of a long play. Like this is just a long play. Like I'm not going to get super concerned about this one short term. I know I got a lot of lines in here. Don't really worry about too much of these lines. There are past areas of support and resistance that we were watching. But I like this one as a long play in terms of the online gambling, sports betting, online gaming aspect of things. That's a sector that I'm bullish on, only going to be growing. Yeah, you have the plays like DraftKings, like for example. This is one, if you want, a similar play. DraftKings is going to get back up towards all-time highs very, very soon, I think. You have DraftKings is one of those. You have Penn National Gaming. Let's pull up Penn. How's Penn looking lately? Penn's actually consolidating pretty well. Those are some solid plays. I don't think GNOG is it's not at that level. It doesn't have that kind of level, that it's not at the level those stocks are at. But I believe it's going to be, a bigger name at some point in the future. So that's why I'm in it. It was a previous SPAC play, and we'll see how that goes. That ain't super big, but I have, a position in the long term that's just been holding there steady for quite some time. I see NEPT is one that people are talking about. A stock I played a while back, but I'd like NEPT down here. Look where it's sitting at. Around this 150 looks solid. Yeah, could it come down more? Yes. But if it holds up roughly around 150, that's a solid area. And it's also a cannabis play too, for those who don't know. I like where it's sitting. So NEPT, I played it from back here, the 50 SMA in the 170s up towards, I sold my last bit of shares over 4, over 5 when I had news in the pre-market hours, and it popped up even higher. So that was nuts. Let's see. Let me scroll back through. Sorry if I'm missing stuff. Future's looking good. Yep. SOS, man. So on the second channel, I have some videos on SOS. They were not meant to be bear videos by any means. They were just presenting what's happening. So essentially what's going on with SOS is Hindenburg came out with a short report tweet, thread, saying, here's why we are short SOS, thinking it's going to go to zero. And so all I'm looking for here on SOS is for them to respond. I'd like to just simply how Clover Health responded to the recent short report that Hindenburg did. All I want to see is SOS come out with a response, and that's it. And then if they do so, that's great. The problem is that Hindenburg came out, they took some pictures of the alleged headquarters, which the address is a hotel. Apparently there's all this stuff, but they were wrong because, oh no, there's actually the building right next to the hotel. And it's like, oh my gosh, it's a whole mess of things. It's stupid. We don't know. Everyone's the keyboard warrior out there thinking that they know everything about SOS. Meanwhile, the companies in China, you don't know how any of this stuff works in China. I'm telling you guys, people freaking out about that thing. Let's see what happens. The short report came out last week. Bitcoin, let's take a look at Bitcoin. Bitcoin being down. Let's see. Bitcoin being relatively low, right? Coming on a dip here. Bitcoin is, we take a look at the daily chart on Bitcoin. Yeah, Bitcoin's dipped off its highs quite a bit, down 10,000 from where it was. Okay, so understand, Bitcoin's been down, SOS been down, right? A stock that ran up a lot lately. You have a short report, you have a shaky market, it's going to come down, so temporarily. Now the market's green. If Bitcoin can bounce a little bit into tomorrow, we may see a nice little reversal back to the upside. SOS has a downtrend that it's looking to break potentially. If it can reverse out of this downtrend and break to the upside, you have that fairly low float stock. I would just be cautious there in terms of understanding, hey, we have the report on them. If the company can't come out to back up their claims, there could be some more stuff going on behind the scenes. And I just don't think that it's worth, right, unless you full-heartedly believe in the company, you've done enough research and due diligence, and you're all in. I just think that the other plays, if we still have this kind of confusion and this whole mess of this guy is shorting, they're trying to bring it down, they're trying to freaking manipulate the stock. It's there's better plays out there, right? If we do get the company coming out, then that could be a solid bull run where we could see a nice break of this downtrend and the stock running back up to $10 plus. If the company can come out and say, hey, we're legit, here's why, here's this, here's the answer to this, here's the answer to this, here's why Hindenburg's wrong, and blow Hindenburg up, because they've been wrong so many times, but they also have been right, and they have alerted some things. They've alerted, plenty of plays, right, plenty of stocks that have done terribly, right, that were frauds in a sense, or at least, much more overvalued. Okay. SAI SPAC merger, Israeli car company, elite car companies, okay. I am not an ASMB. It's on my watch list, though. I still have HEPA, and I have HJLI. HJLI is holding up best. HEPA is not. So HEPA is kind of a weird play, although insiders bought at 2 on HEPA, so I'm going to hold that one. I'm giving it a little bit of a longer leash, again, like some plays, because the market was down. So we'll see how this week shakes out. We will see. TRCH is a stock it's like a merger play, right? I don't know enough about the merger, but it looks like it's trying to hold up around this 225. So this could be a good bounce zone for TRCH. We can probably take a look and reconnect this downtrend here to a degree. Let's see if we can reconnect this. Yeah, so looks like we're trying to sneak over the downtrend line very, very soon on TRCH. So it could be a decent play for a bounce this week. Got traded this week. Awesome. I appreciate that. Awesome. That's great. NAK, they could see they had that appeal. I do like that potential play. I have PLM for a mining play, right? Is that what I have? Yeah, I have PLM. This has been a nice trend. I took some off over 5 or around 5. I ideally should have taken more off at this 540 because it was an area of resistance in the past. And then I would want to see $6 hit on PLM, but it did not. So we'll see how the mining plays work. I like NAK could be a solid play as a mining play. Also, stock under $1, which I believe there's only now, not counting OTC, there's like 20-something, 27. Is that maybe 27 stocks under $1 now? So yeah, we're getting more on the list. Let's see. NNDM, let's take a peek at how this bad boy has been doing. Oh, wow, this thing sold off quite a bit. It really, NNDM needed like a nice kind of healthy pullback. I think we got it here. So here we go. Why do I like this kind of range that I'm going to draw on right here? Well, here's a buy range if I saw one, or if it holds up around this 950-ish, looking pretty good. If it does come down though, I would like it under 950. Looks like a decent buy range down towards like $8 because it was an area of consolidation in the past, prior area of resistance up here around this 950. And then bottom line, we have like $8 as our support down here, prior resistance back in here, prior support for this area right here of consolidation. So that's kind of, I like doing those buy ranges. They're kind of fun to do. Did that a lot with Workhorse, actually. I might as well talk about Workhorse as well. Workhorse is a funny stock after this massive pop. They massive drawdown. They didn't get the USPS contract, and then we got this. And so now Workhorse is kind of down towards like the bottom of this buy range. And the buy range was roughly like, here's the range that I liked. It was like roughly in this area. Because it was a prior area of consolidation, resistance up here towards some of these highs, up around like 19, 20-ish, support down towards like 14. And then eventually Workhorse came into this buy range right here, popped down towards 15-ish, and then ran up to 30. So it doubled like that from the buy range. So that was kind of fun. And it's sitting back in that level again. So it could be kind of a dead cat bounce, or, it's holding that range again. $20 seems to be resistance for right now on Workhorse. So we'll see what happens. Now, it did fall to the downside, sharp knife drop. That was kind of an overreaction sell-off, I think, to a degree. And let things shake out, and we'll see what happens on Workhorse. REI is great because REI is a very interesting play. And I'm going to kind of scoot down through some stuff. If I miss things, I'm sorry. I'm going to catch up. We can talk about cost, too. Let's see. REI, because the reason why is because it's a stock that if you guys... let's see if I can pull it up. Let's see if I can pull up... I don't know where I had this. I had this linked somewhere. But if we go to FinViz, actually, and pull up REI, they have a lot of insider buying, if I recall. Yes. So I was watching this over the past couple of weeks, and there's a lot of insider buying. And so I was noticing this. The problem was that REI, back when they were doing this in the 70s, 60s, and even 50s, at the time, right, REI was pushing up, and I wanted to get a better deal, and I missed. There was multiple opportunities for these kind of consolidation bull flags in a sense, where it kind of consolidates toward $1 here back in January, pushes up, hits up over 2, consolidates around 2, just under 2, and then pushes up. I like that too. It's been solid, and lots of insiders have been buying, so I do like that. Let's see. KOS. Let's pull this bad boy up. KOS. Oil and gas play here. I like this play. Let's take a peek. Overall, right, look at this recovery that we're seeing on KOS. Yeah, pulled back because the market was down and USO and oil was down, I believe, on Friday. So that, you don't want to be buying the oil plays right on the high days when they're going crazy. But it looks solid down in here. If it comes down a little bit more, I think it's a solid play. But look, if you got to take a step back, yeah, relatively speaking, it's up a lot. Okay, yes, oil has been recovering though. Look at the range that it has back when oil was, pre-pandemic, back when we had oil, boom. And that was, oil was at a much higher price. This has a lot more room to recover. So I would give it some time. I would say, couple months, and this is probably a stock that gets and potentially take a shot towards $5 again. So you have some time on your hands here. I do like the chart setup. That's just that. There's more due diligence to be done. I haven't done that yet, of course, but based on the chart and based on how oil has been performing, I think this could be a nice play towards 5. MP undervalued. I have MP. Well, I don't even know what my average is on my longer term account. If it comes down on dips, I think the dips are your best friend on MP, personally. With what's going on in terms of the whole China thing going on and all that stuff, I like this play. So I've been in it for a couple weeks. I think I bought it somewhere back in here in the 30s, I want to say, is where I bought it. So it's almost $50, which is great. I think this could be a stock that makes it run towards $100 at some point in the near future. Let's see. You can't be objective. Anyone's tickers. People fall in love with these stocks. That's exactly the thing. That's exactly the problem, right? And that's referring to SOS, right? Because here's why, and you can't say that to people because people, are overly emotional and they're going to do what they want to do. But, I'm not saying that this stock is going to zero, right? The title that I had in that video was SOS going to zero ? And that was just a play on the Hindenburg report saying that they thought it was a $0 stock. That's all it was. And then we pointed out the flaws in the report, pointed out what we got to see from SOS, the company, and if we get those things from the company, we see some positive stuff. They can come out and back up some of these claims saying, hey, Hindenburg's wrong here, here, and here. Here's why. Boom, we're good. That's all that matters. But people just freaking out. And people even saying yeah, I got an average at 2 and I'm still holding this thing. You guys can all follow the hedge funds and let them take your money like sheep while I ride this thing to $20. Number one of those things too that I think when you see people on Twitter, when you see people in the comments of the video and stuff saying, I got 20,000 shares or I got 2,000 shares at this price. Number one, there's no need for that, right? The thing is I'll show in the account because we're documenting the whole account progress. I'll show the numbers, I'll show everything, but I'm not doing that to brag or anything like that. And I showed the loss. We took a fat loss this past week. I showed that too, right? But there's no need to kind of be the man oh yeah, look at me, I got an average at $2. If you had an average at $2 on SOS and you didn't take any profits when this thing hit 15 plus, I mean, what are you doing? What are you doing? I'm just telling you, wait, that makes no sense to me at all. So if you're thinking that your $2 average from back before it made the run is now going to be saved, here are your chances, right? SOS comes out, they back up themselves, right? They come out and say, okay, here's why we are actually legit. Okay, cool. Or they don't, the stock keeps falling down and we don't get the short squeeze that everyone's potentially talking about. Wall Street bets to the rescue. I don't know. If they want to come out and take a shot at Hindenburg, then sure, this could go. But if that doesn't happen, which maybe it doesn't, then SOS is probably going to not do too much. It may just sit right where it's at. So I don't know. We'll see what happens. There's a lot of stuff that we need to see going forward. I think it'll be very, very telling. If SOS comes out and does an offering, then it's okay, step far away from the stock. That's just my take because they've been raising money. And to some, it's good. They're doing an offering. They're raising money for themselves so they can do other things. Maybe. But also, they've raised a lot of money recently. What's going on here, right? Raise some money when things are good, right? Raise some money when there's attention on your stock. Positive, not negative. That's just a bad sign. And Nikola did that. Nikola, when everyone was all over Nikola, right? Hindenburg did a report on them too, I believe. And that was kind of accurate. But when Nikola was getting all under the pressure, all under the lights, right? They did another offering and they raised more money, which is a big FU to shareholders in a sense at the time. So especially with what was going on. So that's just some stuff you got to watch out for. I'm pointing it out. That's all it was. I want people to make sure that they have the information in front of them to do what they want. And, from experience, this is something that I'm just not personally very interested in unless the company comes out, good news, and it's really, really solid and whatnot, and we have a big run and Bitcoin starts pushing up. If the stars align, this could go right back $10 plus. But if not, this could just sit where it's at or just kind of trickle lower. So we'll see. Market for Monday. Let's see. As of right now, futures are looking very, very green. So it looks like we're going to have kind of a slingshot to a degree. And it seems like, unfortunately, as much as we want to see green, I think to a degree, right? The market is still if we take a step back and look at SPY, look at the S&P, look where it's at. right? If we just zoom out over the past couple of months, this thing is up quite a bit. So these pullbacks are very, very healthy. And if we just see an immediate slingshot back to 400 or back to all-time highs, well, then we're right back to where we were 3 days ago before this pullback. And we're right back to kind of overextended, kind of, okay, we're at resistance, so let's get a slow bounce. I would like a bounce. That would be awesome. But let's get a slow uptrend building. Let's not just kind of slingshot right back up. A slow and solid uptrend would be nice going forward. So we'll see. Let's see. Sorry if I'm missing things. I'm going down. Zom will make moves. Let's take a peek at Zom. Zom we have, okay, so Zom fell below 2. Didn't like that, but looks like 150-ish is the next area to watch for Zom, and it almost reclaimed 2 in the after hours on Friday. So we'll watch. We're getting now into March, so their release of their launch. Here's what I would say with Zom, right? They have the launch of their Trueforma product, I guess, in, I believe, March 30th, if I'm not mistaken, off the top of my head. The only problem with that is be a little bit careful of that, because many times you see us sell the news on these types of plays. And also from what I was reading through some of the past PRs on Zom, it didn't look like overly bullish. They're like, yeah, we got this product, it's coming out, it's great. And so they were like, yeah, with the whole pandemic and stuff, there are limitations. So they were kind of retracting, it may not be as big as we thought, initially, right? We'll have to take time to roll it out, and it will take some time. So give it some time. This could be a good play longer term if you believe in the product. I don't know enough about it personally, and don't know enough about the space to tell you oh yeah, this is going to be the next best thing. But let's take a peek. We got a kind of a downtrend right here. So if we can break above this down, if Zom gets back over $2, that would be a really good sign for it to reclaim 2 in terms of a healthy kind of push back up. Just be careful, I would say. This was like a 6-cent stock a couple months ago. Now, should it have been 6 cents? Probably not, but just understand that. So it's up a lot lately. 170 seems like a decent average, though, if I have to say, right? 170 looks like a decent average for a bounce back up. Just be careful. I would make sure you're taking profits into that launch, and I wouldn't be holding personally. I wouldn't hold to the launch. Maybe you hold a very small amount of shares through the launch, or you're just holding longer term. Let's see. Sorry if I'm missing things. I'm going to scroll down and see if I can pick up some stuff. RYCEY looking great. Yeah, it actually, this is one that I was like, I don't know. But it bottomed out fairly nicely. All right, people were asking about this one for a while. It bottomed out here at 131 and has recovered quite well. So it's sitting up here, 50 SMA now at 150. So if it can hold 150, it looks like it's making a nice reversal to the upside. We'll see. Yeah, I'm pumped. I'm pumped for the account too. We're getting, so we got to double. I'm about halfway through the challenge for those who are new here. I'm taking, so I'm growing the account from 15,000 a few months back or September to try to get to 100,000. So the only additions to the account are free stocks I get from signups from Webull, and then just my profits. So the past 3 months, it's up 100%, which is awesome. And you always got to take a step back and look at that sometimes. After this past week, you got to take a step back and look at that. But the goal is to get it to 100K. Once we do that, the goal is to do that before September. So we'll see if we get, we're on track to do it. But, of course, things could get rocky. If we see a rocky market, maybe we don't, maybe it doesn't happen. But we'll see. But I think we get that, and then that's kind of where I want to keep the account to a degree. And at that point, what I would like to do from there is play with a $100,000 account and then be able to pay myself a little bit better. I'm not taking any money out until then. So that'll be more fun, is when we can pay myself, put that money into long-term swings, take some money and use it for whatever, in terms of debt and whatnot, and be able to keep that account around 100,000 or more, grow it week over week, month over month, and then, take out whatever, a portion of the profits and actually be able to utilize that. Because at the end of the day, right, it's fun to grow the account, it's fun, but, what are you doing it for, right? So, you ultimately want to do it for something, right? Either a lifestyle or either, just for paying off debt or a sense of security and whatnot. So that's what's going to be fun about it. That's the goal, at least for right now. Let's see. CIDM. Let's take a peek at CIDM. How has she been doing? No, this thing is, okay, so here's an example. Look at this. So we had this kind of flag, right? And then it broke to the downside on Tuesday of this flag. Kind of a perfect example of a flag break to the downside, right? This consolidation kind of triangle building right here. Let me get that centered up a little bit better. And so now it's kind of coming down, but it's coming down to this level right in here. 130, 140 to like 120-ish, 110-ish even. We just had a bullish cross, the 50 SMA cross in the 200, the golden cross, people will call as well. So that's a bullish sign, even though the stock is pulled back. And here's why, just because you see the bullish cross, where you see the 50 SMA on the daily chart crossing the 200 SMA, just because that happens one day or at one point doesn't mean, oh my, the stock's going up. No, because for this to happen, you need positive momentum prior. So we had the run. A lot of the run may have already potentially happened on CIDM, although now it's coming down to a much better area. So right in here, this consolidation range seems like a decent spot to take a shot at CIDM if you like CIDM. Just looking back to the left, support probably at like 110. 110 would ideally be the area that I would like to see hold on CIDM. And then of course you have down towards like $1, because $1 will be a pretty strong area of resistance in penny stocks and stuff like that. So I do like that. Any other side gigs? So initially what I did was I was building the account with like part-time jobs and stuff through even college. Now what I do is I have essentially like the account builds itself up from, so I always recommend people, right, when you're building an account, always, if you can, especially early on, add money to it. So I was doing it from like an internship over the summer, initially, and I was doing it from like part-time work at school and stuff. And then eventually it was like, okay, now I can take some YouTube ad revenue. Now because of 2 channels, it kind of does its own thing, right? The ad revenue for both channels is nothing like super nuts like you see on like these crazy like Graham Stephan or anything like that. It's nothing like that. But for stock related videos, the CPMs, the rates are higher. So you don't even need, like, to be honest, that many views. That's why for people who are asking about like side hustles and stuff like that, that's I think YouTube's a solid avenue to go. If you have some sort of, value to provide, and I try to do that here on this channel. And then the second channel, more technical, specific videos on news and stuff. If you have some sort of, value to provide, then I think that's a solid play, and especially if you're doing searchable content. The problem with some of the stock content is that if you walk away, if you're just all about like the next stock, the top stocks now, or this, that, and the other thing, you walk away, your ad revenue, your ads, you don't make money. So you kind of have to be there. So there's that kind of aspect. I think the evergreen content's really, really cool for those who are building up channels with evergreen content, where you can make a video that can be watched, right? It's either a tutorial or it's like just a video that, the content is the same, right? The content still holds its value over years, right? Over months and years. Those are the channels that do really well in the ad revenue space. But now it's like, I don't actually take any money from that to add into my accounts. I may have a while back when I had no expenses in school. Now I'm living in an apartment, so I have to pay myself and I have to pay my bills and stuff. So that all covers that. And then I have, other stuff on affiliates and stuff. And the biggest affiliates is really Webull, which is just pays it back into the account. So we'll see how time goes on, but this is what I'm doing right now, at least. Would you buy a Tesla Model X? Personally, I don't know. I'm not. I have no need right now for a car, especially where I'm living right now in downtown in Austin, Texas. So I don't really. As much as like I want to get a car, it's kind of fun. Like I really think about I've always wanted to get a Mustang for so long. But like I think about it, and like the frugal side of me is like, there's no need for that. Like what would I do? Like it would just sit in the garage, like in the apartment complex. Like there's no need for it. So like, I don't know. We'll see. Maybe eventually I'll get something, but nothing at least anytime soon. So, sold most of my Rolls Royce last week. Brought it up. Yeah, that was interesting. That was a stock that, I didn't really know. I know a lot of people were always asking about it. I just didn't really know like why personally. It made its little pop though. So kudos to those who were playing it. It held around that 130 nicely. Okay. TV. Ticker symbol TV. Interesting. Okay, this thing has come down off of where it was. Hit 934. Is pulled back. Let's see if we can draw some trend lines in here. Let's see. Roughly, here's a kind of a rough trend line. It's at the trend line right now. So I would like to see maybe it holds up around this 725 area. If it does, great. I don't know enough about this one though. So let's see. There's a kind of a range. I would like to see this range. If we take a look, some resistance up here at like the 725-ish, and then support down towards like $6. So here's kind of a range you may want to look at. if it does kind of dip below the 725. Doesn't look bad though. You're buying it on a dip, so if you do like it, you're buying it on a relative low based on where it's been, and it's been up towards this 930 recently, so it does look like a decent spot. They make jet engines for SPC. Okay, well there you go. Well, there you go. If you take the time, I've never seen Joe Rogan. I'm waiting to see that. But I didn't know. Like, I mean, this play. Like, at least Austin right now is red hot in terms of like real estate right now. And there's some insane homes along the river and stuff. If you kind of like go off the city and you go a couple miles up the river, it's ridiculous. I'm sure he lives like, I think I saw a house tour from some video of his new house. It's insane. Like these houses, like they have like private kind of docks off the river. It's like nuts. My only thing is like, what happens when you get a flood? Like, I don't know. I don't know how that, if there's floods around here. Take the time to learn charts, art of trading, get to a point where you don't have to add to your account. Exactly. Yep. That's the name of the game, right? Initially, right, when you're growing the account and you're learning, then yeah, I think it's great to be adding, but eventually you don't have to get to that. You don't have to do that anymore, right? Ideally, that's the goal. Down 22% on Jagex. Should I keep it or cut? Okay, let's see. This one was a good one because it was holding that 260-ish area pretty well. And then, of course, the market, decided to take a little dump, right? So it came down. I think it's potentially, if it could hold $2, roughly around 2, I would give it to 2. So I would say, okay. Yeah, it fell below 2 on Tuesday, but Tuesday I give kind of as like a weird day. So I would give it some time. But then it's been holding 2 roughly since. So if it falls below 2, you could look to, if you have any more cash add in, you can add to it here. And if we get a recovery, great. If it falls below 2, then that's where you cut it. So that's, you're risking about 10 more cents to the downside and say, okay, under 2 again, that'll kind of, show me some further kind of support as to, hey, this stock is no longer holding the support level. I'm going to get out. I don't like the price action. That'll be what I would say. Some support down towards like 185. So you could maybe give it a little bit more of a longer leash, but I would say $2 would be the best place for me to say, okay, I'm out. AMC, I think tomorrow is going to be interesting because we have, right, the market looking green, and then, we have these short squeeze stocks, right, the AMCs, the GMEs. We'll see how they play out. It's funny because there's a correlation, and someone was kind of going back and forth in this. The only thing I mentioned was that there was a correlation between GME going up and the market going down. That's all it was. In intraday on like 2 days, right? The last couple times that the market went up, down big, a few weeks back when they had the initial kind of short squeeze, back when GME went to like $500, and it happened again. So we'll see if the market stays green and those stocks push up. That'll be kind of like, oh, okay, well then now there's no inverse correlation, I guess, between the two. I don't know. We can take a look at AMC though. I mean, AMC, obviously, I like more than GME, but AMC down towards like $7 would be better. So, have a little bit more downside. Even down towards like 525 would be the support we have right now on AMC. But it has this kind of, potential cup and handle kind of look. So here's your kind of cup, and they're building out your handle, and then eventually what you see is a breakout to the upside on that handle. If you guys can kind of make any sense of that, I know it's kind of weird, but again, kind of have your little mug, think about your little circle, your kind of, U-shaped cup. And then here's your kind of your handle building, right, where you kind of grab it. And then it's like a pattern that, technical pattern. And then many times you get a breakout to the upside for a much bigger move after that. So we'll see. ASRT. Okay, this thing is coming down. Obviously has had its little fun, but now it's coming back down a little bit. The interesting thing that I want to see, and we can roughly draw, it's not a perfect trend line, but here's your kind of a rough, you can even draw like a channel in here, a rough downtrend channel. What I want to see for how this is interesting to see, because this reminds me, right, what happened this past week reminds me of what happened in like July, August, September, where a lot of just penny stocks, a lot of these small caps just went on these perpetual sell-offs. And it was like every day they were down like 1%, 2%, 3%, 5%. Like for a while, for months, and nothing would hold support. So we kind of have a period right now, also ASMB while I'm looking at it, or ASRT while I'm looking at it, around this 85 looks like it could be a support because it was a prior resistance right here. So that could be an area it may want to hold. But we'll see if these things start to hold up, because this could be just a nice, sell off before the next kind of leg up on, stocks with catalysts, stocks that are solid. Obviously kind of like the BS penny stocks that are not great, because the way that I look at penny stocks, when I say penny stocks, it's relative. Not every stock is like under $1. Not every stock's a couple pennies. Nowadays, there's only like 20 something stocks under $1. We're talking stocks that are like, I don't know. We're talking stocks that are low float stocks, small market cap stocks. That type of stuff is what we're looking at when I say penny stocks. So we'll see how they hold up. I'm curious to see how they start to hold up, and if we start to see a lot of charts resetting, positive catalysts, kind of the way that they used to be traded, months ago. So it's going to be interesting. I think GNOG could be a decent lagger, and it's in a decent spot. GNOG under $15, I think is solid, personally. Let's see, RESN. What's a good entry on RESN? This could be a decent spot. This 50 SMA could be a spot. So $5 could be a spot. If it can't hold $5, this thing may come down a lot more. I don't know enough about it, but what do we got? Okay, so it's a tech company, and if we draw in, not a perfect downtrend, it kind of overextended its sell-off pretty hard the past couple of days. So I would give it some more time. But if it holds up at 5, that could be a decent area to take a shot, although you're catching a stock that hasn't really shown too much support, other than the past couple of days holding roughly $5. So we'll see. NAKD, what do we got on NAKD? Down towards $1 seems like it could be a decent area to take a shot at it. We'll see. I don't personally know if they're gonna. I would love to see NAKD even kind of had a little bit of a downtrend right there. I would like to see them. Do they have any recent news? Let's take a peek at NAKD on FinViz really quick, because we can look at the press releases. It's probably better to look at that. NAKD, do we have any PRs? The problem with this one is that this company is like quiet, so I don't know. Okay, definitive agreement for $100 million private placement. Okay, they actually aren't that quiet. They regain compliance, so there's that. So they're going to be here for a little bit longer, for sure. Closed a $50 million offering. So maybe NAKD is not a terrible play at 1. But I think it could fall through 1. I don't think it's this stock. Look where it was. It has done people dirty for a long time. It's just in like perpetual downtrends for some time. So, I'm not a huge fan. I'm probably not going to trade it. But if it holds 1, it could be a decent spot, roughly. Again, higher lows. We have a low here at 73, a low here at 90 cents. So if it blows below $1, below 90 cents, and the weakness shows the downside, I'm not a big fan of it. HSTO. Let's see. I've been seeing this one a couple times. HSTO is coming back. It's pulled back. It's coming down towards this 1-ish, 105-ish area. It's up around 113 right now. So, yeah, this one doesn't look terrible, although this probably was an offering dip, I believe, and it has recovered beautifully after that, doubling, and then pulled back and then pushed up again, pretty much doubled again, and is now pulled back down towards $1. So we'll see if $1 can hold. That'll be the key telling area. 110 to $1, if it can develop some support in there. If you look back at this chart, relatively speaking, yeah, down towards 1, you're getting back towards those oversold levels. You're getting back to a much better, setup in my eyes, because a lot of penny stocks have made these types of runs and have blown up and just keep going up. This is an example of a stock, if it has catalyst, if it has solid, if it holds up around $1 support, if it has a catalyst, this could be a nice, better risk reward type of play. So I do like that, potentially. I don't know the catalyst, but if it holds 1, it could be a solid spot. There is an inverse relation 100% on the GME to the spot. Yeah, I was noticing it, and then I had someone saying, no, yeah, for like 1 day, for those couple days that it makes those runs. Yes, it seems like it is. Apple. This is interesting because, for the most part, for those who are new here, make sure first, by the way, guys, if you guys have not done so already, hit the thumbs up button. I really appreciate you guys for doing that. Let's get to 100 likes. Let's hit 100 likes. Let's hit that, and then we could be on our way. Apple, the thing with Apple, if we take a look, see, can we draw in some something here? Yeah, roughly kind of can connect a couple bottoms. So it's at a trend line support roughly here at this 120-ish area. Doesn't look like a terrible entry point. For me, Apple's a stock that, you're going to get solid returns, long term. I think it's one of those cash park companies where it's like, I can park my cash in Apple and almost know I'm going to get, my 5 to 10% plus per year, and many times I'll get more than that if history continues to play out. And if Apple holds up, which I believe it will. We'll see. Obviously, anything can happen to any company, but you got a pretty big discount, right? And Apple has got a pretty hefty weight in the SPY in the S&P. So that could also be, a reason for some of the sell-off as of late too. Or it is a reason for some of the sell-off as of late. So Apple right here at this 120 looks like a good spot. For me, Apple sees a drawdown from, a $20 drawdown from where it was, like a $25 drawdown from where it was. That's a decent buy. I mean, if you're looking for Apple for a long-term play, there you go. I'm just not a huge, I know there's option people out there who love options. I'm just not a huge fan of them personally, other than selling options, because the problem with the options to me is that you start to get greedy, and then there's people who are really experienced and can do it very, very well. I just personally think for most beginners, it's not the best way to start. Better to sell options, not to buy options and buy like calls and puts, because you're messing with time. So you're playing the game against, okay, can I predict the move in the stock? Great. If I can, awesome. But then you also got to predict the time and when it happens, because if you don't, then your option could, vary in value significantly, even if, right, your option could go down even if the stock goes the way you expected, if the timing is wrong. That's why I like playing shares, and that's why I stick to more of the high growth plays, the small cap stocks, because you can get those 20, 30, 100% moves over relatively short periods of time. So I don't have to play options, and I don't have to worry about the time aspect, right? That's kind of how I got into the small caps and the penny stocks. SOS, interesting to hear your take. Yes. So for those who are new, right, I have a second channel. There should be a link in the description of these videos. If not, look up stock trends on YouTube. That's my second channel. So I had a video on SOS this morning that I made last night, and of SOS stock going to zero ? SOS, I think it was short report plus technical analysis. That's what it was. And let me tell you, there are people who were just absolutely pissed in the comments. Like, these people just lost it. Like, I was like, guys, like, number one, like, I'm reporting this video immediately. Like, I'm like, geez, like, all I did was share what's going on, right? And the problem was that everybody and their mother think they know everything about SOS and think that they live in China, and no. Like, yes, there were some potential people pointing out the Hindenburg stuff. Yeah, they took one picture. It was like a blurry picture, and we didn't know where the heck that was on the picture. But apparently, right, the headquarters that they had on their filings didn't match up to where they actually were, because it was a hotel when Hindenburg went to go and investigate, right? We're also just taking Hindenburg's word for it, and they've been wrong plenty of times. They also have been right. So again, take it with a grain of salt. But it's going to be my thing on SOS. Obviously, we'll see the company has to respond. Apparently, the company is supposedly preparing a response. So, okay, great. If we get a response and they can kind of back themselves up, SOS is fine, right? If they can't, then I'd be very careful here. That's all I'm saying on SOS. So we'll see. If we get a response, we'll have to assess what happens with that. But man, people were very, very salty. It was just because the reality of the video was nothing. I mean, and on that channel too, here's the thing too. Is that you make a video about any stock, everyone immediately thinks you're either a bull or a bear, right? Whatever the title says, you're promoting the stock, you're getting paid for the video. Like, that's what everyone thinks. Number one, like, that doesn't happen. There's some companies that try to that try to pay you for videos and never done that, but it's a thing, and I've seen channels who have done that. There are channels who people probably watch who don't even know who've done that. I've seen it because I get the emails from them and I see the stocks that they're talking about, so I know. I didn't get paid to make a video, and the point of those channels, the point of even this channel, I'm not here to be the guy to call a stock for you. I don't want to call a stock for you. I want to present ideas, present both sides, especially, right? And then so people can make their own interpretation of that, take it a step further, do your own due diligence like you should anyway, do your own assessment of the stock chart, risk-reward analysis, and then make your buying or selling or shorting or whatever decision off of that. So there's no and that's the problem, is people immediately just think you're promoting the stock, you're pumping it, you're doing this, so you're trying to dump it, whatever. So it's like, okay, whatever. That's the difference. I think that hurts in a sense the growth of this channel, because there are channels out there who've come up much more recently than I've had mine, who've blown up, right? Because they just post top stocks to buy videos, right? And that's it. I don't want to post top stock to buy videos because I don't want to be the guy who calls stocks for. I want you to have your own plan. That's the name of the game. I don't want people to have to come crying to somebody or have to worry about like, oh my gosh, like you want to be your own trader. You want to be your own self-sufficient trader or investor. You don't want to have to go to somebody every day to get the top stock video. Like, no. And half the time those people are never right. So it's like, and I take fat losses too. So I don't want to be that guy. We all know that guy with 1 million videos breaking down Neo alone. I appreciate the answer on SOS. Yeah, people going crazy. So the thing is, the way that I see it is that, okay, SOS, either we get the short squeeze crew right behind it and SOS breaks its downtrend and the company doesn't come out and say anything and the stock runs up and it squeezes and goes crazy. Cool. Or the company doesn't do anything and it just kind of peters out or sells off. And that's it. Like, I don't know, like, and not to mention Bitcoin pulling back doesn't help it because it's a Bitcoin crypto mining company. So, we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. That's the name of the game, right? The whole point of the videos is that I want people to be more informed before they make the decision, but ultimately the decision is up to you. That's it. I don't want to make, that's why I've struggled so much with the titles of videos, because it's like I just can't get myself sometimes to put in top stocks to buy. I just can't do it because that is implying that people should buy these stocks when I don't want to do that. Where I know it's a difference in the algorithm because you put top stocks to buy versus top stocks to watch. It's a significant difference in the algorithm, and the video does significantly worse when you put watch instead of buy. Like it's just. But I fight it all the time because it's like I know that I don't want people to come in here who are new to get the wrong message from the video. So slow and steady is the name. But SOS when I thought was a dip, then it jumped to my stop loss. SOS it's not dead. We'll see what happens. Let's give some time. If Bitcoin starts pushing up and things get quiet on the Hindenburg front and the SOS like company front. This will probably follow crypto to a degree, we'll see. But it's a low float stock too, so be careful because this thing can move pretty fast. So just understand that, if enough buyers come in tomorrow, despite any news either direction, price action may launch this thing up to $10 again very, very quick. If SOS claimed, they say, then at some point, it can right there. Yeah, if SOS is legit and they can back it up, they certainly can. People were talking about it. I talked about it too in prior videos back in here. I liked it. As a unfound or was starting to get found a crypto mining play, and then 2 days later, the thing doubles, and it made a big run, and now it's pulling back. So I don't ever dabble. I have never dabbled in Canadian markets. Haven't touched them personally. Maybe at some point, but we'll see. Being honest, watch several outlets on YouTube. Benzinga is great too. Those guys are good too. I appreciate that. I know that's the thing. That's what I want. And it's tough for a lot of people to, at least initially new people who are coming in to see that. But I hope that like longer term, right, people start to understand that there's more value than just some guy, posting a video saying, here are the top stocks to buy. Like, why? Okay, what's the plan behind any of that stuff? Like, I think there needs to be more kind of behind the scenes. So we'll see. Let's see. BNGO is a stock no one's mentioned, but I do kind of want to see how BNGO, maybe someone has, if I missed it, I'm sorry. But it's down here. If it comes down below like $9, it could be a decent play, and it pushed to the upside. What do you use for penny stock news? So the whole thing with the whole, I have access to Trade Ideas scanner. So I see the news essentially when it comes in if I want to. But a lot of times I don't even use it because it's like I don't need it. For most of my swing trades, I'm looking at charts and I'm looking at basically I'm diving into news. I'm diving into filings through Seeking Alpha, which is it's free. And then BAM SEC is my go-to source for like filings to look through SEC filings to dive deeper into companies. So those are the two places that I will use mostly when it comes to that stuff. So you can use a Trade Ideas scanner, and I have a link down below, but I think that that's best if you are someone who's looking to actively trade a stock like right after the news. And it's got its benefits, it's got its uses, but it's also not needed for most people initially. Just that's kind of I know people who are like, oh, you got to get the news the second it comes out. Yes and no. For swing trading, you don't need that. But for day trades, if you want to be quick and scalp stuff, then, it's probably a decent tool to have, but it costs decent amount of money for those who are new. So it's like, are you willing to pay that much money per month is it going to impact your trading enough to where that's worth it? Now, it depends. For the newbie, no. But for somebody who's more seasoned, who has a much larger account, then yeah, it makes some sense. Let's see. Main play for tomorrow. I don't really know because I'm a swing trader, so we'll see how things go. If we see some dips come tomorrow morning, I'll probably scalp some stuff. But I'm not looking to do anything too crazy. I'm watching oil plays in general. The oil plays are what I'm watching in general, and we'll see. We'll see how that goes. I want to see how a lot of stocks kind of, and yesterday's video, right? Which is Sunday. Yesterday's video is a good one to go back to see the top stocks I'm watching for this week if you want to look into that, or even the coming weeks. The second half of that video is where we dive into that stuff. So I tell you guys what I'm in, and then we dive into what I'm looking forward to. So that's a good place to start, but nothing specific as of right now because I want to see how the markets open up and shake out a little bit. See if we can kind of shake out and steady up before we really kind of get a better sense as to what sector is really, really hot. DPW, I cut it, although it's probably fine down towards like 3 something. The company in the past has not been, this is kind of in the past, DPW was your traditional penny stock pump and dump, okay? It seems like there's more here from what I have been seeing. We'll see how it goes. It's tough sometimes, though, to kind of break through that. And it looked like it wanted to back when it hit $8, but it's pulled back significantly with a lot of stocks. So it's probably going to be getting, developing some support here in this range. So let's see. Opinion on BUSXF. Okay, let's see. This is still in that range. It's right at the 50 SMA, which also happens to be support beautifully with this dip right here to 225 from the 28th of January. So if that area holds, that'll be interesting. If that can't hold, then this may see some more downside. It may, short-term downside. And it potentially is a lot, but we'll see. If this rough 225 area can hold, that would be a good sign, though. That's the key area that I would be watching. ASMB, I am not in right now, but it's on the list as a stock that I'll be ready to get back into, because it's still over. Look where it's at. I mean, look at this thing. It's down towards $5. I honestly think that it's really a solid entry right down here. They have like 200 million plus in cash. Any update from the company, this thing probably pops very nicely. And down towards 478 is your stop. So that's the low that we have. Okay, so if you're buying this thing at 5, you're going to risk like 25, 30, 50 cent worst case scenario to the downside. On a $5 stock, that's not a big percentage. I would take that every single day. So I like the entry point right here. Would like to see it holding 5 though, roughly. Would like to see that. So we'll see. IDEX, we can take a look at that. I haven't mentioned Clove yet. Let's see. Over leverage or margin. Okay. And the thing is, I actually have not. Clove is down. I didn't know it went this low. I have been buying some more in the other account, but yeah, I think Clove is the example. The thing that I think about with Clove is I think this is legit. Look at FSR. Okay, look at FSR post merger. Look at this thing. It had this knife. Right, $10 was like that pre-merger support, right? Redemption value of a lot of these SPACs. Then once the merger happens, all bets are off. The stock can do whatever it wants, right? It can go to 0 if it wants to. But Clove, FSR came down hard, so Clove reminds me of that. So I would be a cautious kind of buyer onto this one personally. That's just me, but I do like this one as a longer-term play. So I'm not worried about it too much. When I have more cash, which actually the first of the month is tomorrow, so I think I get another deposit because I set up automatic deposits to my long-term accounts. I get a deposit, so I should be able to have some more cash available to buy some Clove actually tomorrow. So that should be fun. Reminds me of rents due as well, which is not fun. Appreciate that, Jenny. Love the channel. Awesome. Let's see. Do I go live on? Yeah, you know what I want to do? I mean, to be honest, the situation that I currently have is not the best. So eventually, that's the goal, would be to go live. Who knows? Maybe every day it becomes a thing for like an hour or something. But so like right now, the apartment we live in, like it's a shared space. Like my girlfriend works and she has like a legit job, like, you know, on phone calls all the time and meetings. So it's not I don't want to be taking up the whole, you know, taking up her time or peace and quiet, right? Going live because I'm like in this space. It's a 1-bedroom apartment, right? So ideally, the lease is up in like 10 months. Ideally, maybe moving to a 2-bedroom and building out like a more like official office space where it's like closed and I can do whatever I want would be the next goal. But we'll get there when we get there. But I do go live. There are days I do go live. Sometimes what I'll do is on Clove. Oh yeah, Clove popped in the last bit of trading. Look at that, it popped up. So there could be some. Oh, you know what? They have earnings, right? They have earnings. Does someone have earnings soon? Clove has earnings. I think a lot of companies have earnings relatively soon. So this could be a potential play into that. But I do try to go. I'll try to go live. I want to try to go live more often during the weeks. So that may be happening more often. So we'll see. I'm thinking about trying to figure out what time is best. Probably. I mean, the end of the day is good because, right, there's more action. But realistically, like that morning, like the market opens, probably the better time to be going live. If you had to think about like going live during the day. So we'll see if we can do more of that. I want to. It's fun. So CCIV, this is funny. I'm probably getting to the point on CCIV where I may take a shot. I may take a shot at it in the long term. So I have some cash coming in tomorrow. So maybe this is not a bad idea. I like it. I mean, this is going to, a luxury EV play. I mean, I like it. I definitely do. Earnings on Clove is Monday after hours. Okay, good to know. That's interesting. So we'll see. I think this is going to pop. I mean, we'll see what happens, obviously, with the earnings. And in a better kind of market, let's see how the futures are doing. If the market ends up being as green as it looks like right now, if that's how it holds up tomorrow, in a green market, then yeah, maybe the earnings situation, it does better. But in like a red market, no matter what, sometimes you'll just see sell-offs for almost no reason, right? And I think Hyliion had earnings as well too. Appreciate that, Jason. Thanks. Awesome. Glad to have you here. Drop hard, trade it came back down to my average. Company overreaction, yeah. The overreactions are the best. I'm telling you guys, like for the people who are concerned with like, oh, these red days, the red days are beast days for overreactions. I mean, I'm telling you, like you'll see some. I mean, comms is the best example that I had from last week. Comms, you have this stock, right? The market was down about 0.5%. Okay, and it started to bottom out, but comms was down from opening the day at like 365. It was at 311, right? That's a scalp, right? Right there. That's like the way that I see it, that's a scalp. Now, I bought this thing at like 320 and took it to 330, so I was pretty cautious in that trade. But like, right, that's still 10 cents. Now, how do I feel about that trade? Pretty low risk, pretty low risk trade. The stock's already down 10% on the day. The market's down. The market's bouncing or bottoming a little bit. The stock, all it has to do is recover to only being down 5%, and you capitalize on a little piece of that move. Now, sounds stupid, but for a day trade scalp, I'm happy to take my 2%, Sounds like, okay, whatever. But if you have some size behind it, all of a sudden 2% on a couple $1,000 is nothing. It's a few extra bucks in the account that then now it saves you a little bit from a super red day. So, and obviously if you have more size, depending upon your account size, if you got an account size of 100K and you're dropping 25K in that trade and you're making, 2%, it's not bad. That's not bad at all, right? For a quick scalp, that's a super low risk trade. Yeah. Could it come down? Yeah. But I mean, it's already down 10%. How much more downside could we see? You could, but I'm going to be doing more of that on the red days for sure. On the green days, kind of less of that. You can take some, you can scalp things for sure. That may be lagging the overall market and stuff like that. But, the red days are great for those overreaction scalps. Sensonics. Let's take a peek at this bad boy. Yeah, it fell. So we had these next legs up. And then this week, boom. So let's assess the damage here. rough downtrend for right now. We kind of have. It came down. This is the Tuesday, kind of a crazy day. I mean, just a weird day. We ever get that again? I mean, looking back, hindsight's 2020, but looking back, that was a beautiful, like the scalp fest you could have had Tuesday morning, literally across any small cap stock, any high growth stock that was down ridiculously, and then bounced even just like 3%, 5%. Like that was all over the place, like 5% scalps, like left and right. People could have had like a field day on that stuff. But it's coming down. So I would like to see if it holds up around the $3 area. That would be the area that I would be watching next. Then it came down this consolidation. So look at these boxes that I have of consolidations. These are areas I'd be watching as potential areas of support to the downside. So we are seeing a sell-off. We'll see if it bottoms and finds a support. But upper twos to $3 is probably the area that I'd be watching as the next level to watch as support. My scalp comms. Yeah, comms was... I'm going to do it again. I do it again. If comms stays at $3 or I hold $3 support, I think I actually like that for a swing. So I'm building that out for a swing. More live videos sounds great. Yeah, that's okay. So that'll be what we do. We'll definitely try to do more of those. Let's see. Yeah. Also too, what's happening, another thing too, is I'm going to be doing is, let's see. I am going to be going to Utah in like 2 weeks, like week and a half actually, kind of. So not this Friday, the next Friday. So in anticipation of that, my account has grown a lot. So it's beyond, since we took it from 15,000, right? I had a cash account, so I didn't have to worry about day trades, but I haven't changed it back to a margin account because it takes like a week to do that, right? You have to essentially get out of every trade you're in, be all cash, have it settle for 2 days, and then they can do your account switch. And it takes about a week, potentially, sometimes, around that time period for that to happen, to go back to margin. So that week, so from that Friday through the next week is when I'm going to have that happen. So I got like 2 weeks left of trading, and then I got to wipe my account out of all positions, go all cash, and then start the transition into, back to margin. So we'll see. How do I find what stocks to invest in? So I would say right now the best place, at least the resource I have, is in the playlist of the channel. I have like a how to find stocks to buy playlist. There's like 5 videos, I want to say. The videos in there are a great place to start. And I'm probably going to make another video. I have a list of stuff. I'm going to do a video on like how I pick my stocks and stuff like that, like something titled around those lines. And then I'm probably going to do another video on like a quick, like even like intro beginner type of thing to how to trade stocks for beginners in 10 minutes. Like I'm going to test out some different video ideas, stuff like that. So we'll see. But I have that but I have other videos already up there that are pretty much the information that it's what I do. So, take it, however you want. And I hope people can mold that stuff to what works best for them. That's a good place to start. Let's see. ZOM, I know people like this one. I would give it down to 150 support. Downtrend right here. If it can get back over $2, that would be a good sign for ZOM personally. Don't want to see it really going below 150. The date to know, I believe, is March 30th when they're launching their Trueforma product. So this could be an example of a sell the news where it runs up in anticipation of that and then pulls back after the launch. We'll have to see, unless the company is really good with their PR. If they're not, if they're kind of quiet, probably a sell the news event, just to know. KMPH PDUFA right on Tuesday. Let's pull it up. I traded this one before, actually, and I traded it from down in here, $6 to like 10, and then I took my profits. That was a solid trade. So the problem with these plays is that I never hold through those dates. I know I follow people too who really feel strongly about this play and the approval. The problem is that, again, you're dealing with a kind of a binary event. It's either a yes or a no. If no, many times you get crushed. And I've been in these things. I was in ADMP. I have a video on this one too. If you look up ADMP on my channel, cents down to like 40 cents, you get crushed. So you got to be careful with those. That's why I prefer to play the run up and not the hold through the event. Looking back, this would have been an amazing buy come the time, right? Would have been an amazing buy in November. Running it up towards, $2+. Yeah, but did I know that was going to happen? No, at the time. Oh yes, someone alerted me to this one, Fold. So thanks for this. This is actually really cool. This is a decent play. I haven't seen it until this weekend, but look at this guy. I would love to do a little more due diligence this week into Fold, but look where it came down to. Right down to 1160 or $12. It's holding up and consolidating here. We got a gap from 1450 up towards like 1850. So a big gap to fill if it can kind of curl itself back up, and it looks like it's trying to curl on up. So I do like this one chart wise. Now I would look deeper into what's going on, what's driving it, why this drop, and what they have going on in the future. But this could be a solid, 30+% move. Very, very, fairly low risk. We're risking down towards like, the lows that we saw relatively, in the past like 2 weeks. So that's a solid play, I think, as well. Hot mining. I don't know enough about hot mining. Live when the market's open. Yes, that's what we'll do. That's what we're gonna do. I'm in Fold. Okay, there you go. So that's a solid. Looks like a solid play. I like that. I may join you there on that one. We'll see what happens this week. Yeah, we're gonna do more. I'm gonna definitely do more lives going forward. I want to do more lives. I'm trying to figure out what time period works best, and if I can eventually get to like a set day of like, okay, like every Wednesday at like 8 a.m. or 9 a.m. Eastern, whatever it is, we go live for like an hour. It could be kind of fun to see what's going on, because the market opens fun. Then you get a lot of those overreaction sell-offs and stuff, so many times you can take advantage of those kind of scalp plays too, which we'll definitely maybe doing more of that, especially when the account goes over to margin again. That'll be a lot of fun. The problem with the cash accounts, for those who are dealing with that, is you're playing with settled cash. So when you're playing with settled cash, you can only trade on that money. So if your money's if you have like more than half your account in the market, and then you're using like the rest to day trade and whatnot, or to use that to kind of move around and be kind of more nimble in your trades, you got to give it some time for it to settle. Like takes like 2 days for it to settle after you sell, and then it's like you can't use that money until it settles. So it's kind of a pain. MICT. Let's see. This does look pretty good, actually. Let's see. We got a nice uptrend forming right here. Look at this. Actually pretty good. Oversold relative to where it was, but uptrend forming. We can kind of put in roughly a channel. Here's your kind of channel to the upside. Buying it as close down towards the bottom of this channel, down towards like 225, as close as you can to 225, obviously. Selling this thing up towards 375 or 350-ish, at least as of right now. Potentially could break out of the channel and make a bigger run to the upside. So I do like that's. I think it's a good play. And then DM, and I'm probably gonna let's see. Oh, what do we got? Yeah, let's look at NNDM. NNDM, I would like to see it holding up roughly in this. This is the buy range, I think, for NNDM. Anything under like 950 is solid. Would like to see it holding $8. Don't want to see it going much below 8. So that's that. Do you like margin over cash for swing? I mean, if you can get a margin account and you're over PDT, then yes, margin I think is by far better. But it doesn't matter. I mean, for swing trading, I don't think it matters. If you're just doing swings, then cash account's fine. If you're day trading more, then yeah, it's going to be kind of a pain, because you want to be able to access that money. And especially if you're scalping stuff, like for example, I can tell you, right, if you go and play the runner of the day, so every day there's like a couple stocks that are up like, 50, 100%, sometimes more. If you're playing the runner of the day that has the volume and you're scalping that, people do very, very well at breakout trades and stuff like that. Not for me, it's not my style. I don't do well with that stuff. That's where you can take a much smaller amount of money and make like a 20% return in a few minutes, because there's so much more volatility there. So that's where it's probably okay to be cash account day trading. But if you're going to scalp stuff, like if you're looking for like small, 1 to like 3 to 5% scalps here and there off of like overreaction sell-offs and stuff like that, you're probably going to want to do that on a margin account, or you want to have like most of your account cash to be able to do that. So you can go in and size into those scalps a little bit larger, because they're a lot less risky. And what's the deal? Like if you have an account, let's say your account's $1,000, just for example, right? Or let's say your account's $10,000. Why would you be going in with a $100 scalp to make 1% to make $1, where you could be going in with like, $3,000, and scalping for 1% and making more money, right? It makes more sense. But you also don't want to tie up that $3,000, right? If you're in a cash account, then you tie up that $3,000 that now has to settle for a few days before you can use it again. So that's kind of your risk there, or you can totally do a cash account and hone a strategy and just try with a small amount of money, $10, $20, depending on your account size, $100, so that you're not tying up too much cash, and then scalp some stuff and see how it works, and just do that on the side while you're building your account up. And then eventually you'll have an account size where, as you're doing swings and as you're growing the account, if you're hopefully adding more money, once you're over PDT, you can go to a margin account, and now you can size up on those scalps. And now you can also use those scalps to help load up your day trades and then play both of them. So that's how I want to play things. I love, swing trades. I think I may have said day trades. I love the swing trades. The swing trades, to be honest with you, I know it's a lot more emotional in a sense, because it's not like, okay, I'm going to cut my loss and move on. If you're in a swing, right, it could go down and you can still like the play for a longer term swing, and your account could be red, so you got to suffer through that. But the green days are so glorious. They're so nice, because when a swing pays off, when a swing pops, when it gets news, when it runs up 20-30%, and you're nice and solid in that swing, you're making solid money on those plays. Whereas if you're day trading, you're probably not going in as large as you would with a more of a conviction swing, in a sense, if you're day trading on technicals. So that's at least my take, my whole rant on that stuff. Margin was great until I put it all into Clove. When you get your account over 25K, do you not have limited day trades? Yeah, on a margin account over 25K, you do not have any restriction on day trades. You'll be marked as a pattern day trader, but you actually won't have to comply with the 3-day trades per 5 trading days. But if you're in a cash account, you can day trade as much as you want, any account size. Awesome. I appreciate that, Trevor. So I'm going to wrap things up. Been going for about an hour and 20-ish. So how do I find penny stocks? I have a video on the playlist section, how to find stocks to trade. That playlist, there's 5 videos in there. A few of those videos, you'll be good to go. You'll understand how I do it. They shouldn't be too long as well, but they're good stuff. And one of my favorite ones, the favorite one is how to beat the pump. That's a fun one, because at the end of the day, right, no one's gonna. Most the guys who are talking about the stuff on Twitter and the stuff on the pumpers, whatever you want to call them. No one's gonna make that video. No one's gonna tell you that stuff, because they want to make sure you're kind of a sheep and you're kind of following along to them, so they can load up the stock quick, and then you can get in and they can pump, and then they can dump on you, right? I don't know. I know a lot of people don't do that stuff, but there are people who do that. There are those who do that stuff. So that video is fun because I want people to be able to do it themselves. I want you to be able to follow people on Twitter who have big followings in the stock space, or even on YouTube, right? And I want you to be in a stock, nice and solid, nice position size. You got in early, you're at support. I want you to be in that stock, and then somebody makes a video on that stock or tweets about it. They're going long, and the thing goes up 100%, and you're just sitting back, just selling into that spike, just counting your money. That's the name of the game. So this is up. So if you join in late, this is going to stay up on the channel, so you can go back and play as much as you want. It's an hour and 20-ish minutes. So thanks guys for tuning in. Taking a last look at futures, we're green. So Nasdaq's going to be nice and fat green. Dow, SPY, even small caps. It looks like a solid day. We'll see if that holds up. We'll see, but it should be a lot of fun. Pump and dumps are real. Yes, they 100% are. They 100% are. And I know people don't want to say that they have influence over stocks, but people do. And there's a lot of that stuff going on. So I recommend you don't follow. You do it. You figure out how to do it yourself. Which I hope there's a lot of resources here on the channel to do that. So thanks guys for tuning in. I appreciate you I talked about NNDM a few minutes ago, so you can go back and check that out. I will see you guys this week, and let's hope for a nice solid green week. It should be a good week. It looks good. Futures look good. Thanks for tuning in. Hit the like button on the way out, and I'll see you guys this week. Peace.